anything that you can sense through your senses, 5 senses, or your mind, anything you can think about, anything that is perceived is part of this world that we live in, right? It has a vibration, it's an energy, and it moves non-stop. There's no stopping. It's a constant movement, a constant dance, if you want to call it that. The sun rises, the sun sets, trees grow and die, flowers bloom and wilt. We are born, we die. Everything comes and goes, hot, cold, up, down. It's the duality of this life, of this earth, of this world, of this manifestation. There are polarities. There is a spectrum of, feelings, emotions, light, color, everything. Everything's a spectrum. Everything is a on and off, yes and no, good and bad, and and so on. And it is perceived through our bodies, through our senses, including the mind. So the 5 senses of the body plus the mind, and experienced through this body, which is a part also of this manifestation of this world. We constantly change. Our cells are moving. It's basically all energy. We're basically all energy. There's no, materialism. There's no solidity to us. It's a constant move and a constant coming and going, and I think we forget that we are dying. As soon as we are born, we slowly die, Here we are, and now this is the, slow descent to death, which is very morbid, but we forget. This is all just a passing show. Now, we get lost when we think that this is it. This is all there is. There's nothing else. It's all the stuff I can perceive through my senses, that I can think about, that I can, think up and come up with. Nothing is unique to you. Any thought you ever have has been thought before. Because it is one collective mind, it's all connected. Everything is connected. So anything you're thinking, it has been thought before. There's nothing new you can bring into the world, really. Even everything I'm saying, it's been said before. And everything that I'm saying, you already know within you. So now, what happens is life is moving. You're perceiving stuff, and you learn to now have preferences. Things that feel good, things that don't feel so good. Because obviously, as we all know, life is not all happiness and sunshine, but it is also painful and sad and irritating. And things happen that you don't like and that you don't want to happen. And we get lost and spend our whole lives thinking that we are this person. We have these likes and we have these dislikes. And now we spend our whole life trying to make our life pleasant. That means staying out of, lower energies, lower vibrations. Always wanting to be up, always wanting to feel good, happy, love, and all of those, feel good emotions. And anytime we feel a lower energy, we push it away. We don't want it. We don't want to feel the sadness, so we distract ourselves. And we push away and we cling to the good, and that becomes our life. And I think most people live like this until they die. That's just it, and now, if you're listening to this podcast, then you probably have noticed that there's something else there, or at least you've gotten sick of this whole life you're leading, of the constant effort that you have to put into feeling good, and the constant pain and frustration surfacing, and you're just over it, and you don't want it anymore. And you just feel like there has to be more to life than this. Like, this is not how it's meant to be. Something's off. Something's wrong. This can't be it. And once you get to that point, I think that's like the next step of the evolution, of our evolution. We're not meant to blindly go through life thinking that this is it, that we are this body, that it's just these vibrations, just this energy. Where once we get uncomfortable and we get tired of pushing and pulling and trying to control life so that we can be happy, because it just doesn't happen that way. You cannot spend your whole life doing things, controlling things, manipulating life and people so that you're always happy and comfortable. It doesn't work. It might happen for a short time, and then you're going to have to manipulate more and control more, and you just fall into this cycle of you're just not free anymore. It's just your whole life just becomes about calculating, what do I have to do now so that I'm okay. And that's you're just not free. You have put yourself into this tiny little prison. And once you get to that point where you're like, that's it, I'm fed up, I can't do this anymore, it becomes too heavy, it becomes too painful, it becomes absolutely exhausting. You sort of surrender, or you want to surrender. Do you want to find something else? Like, this can't be it. Oh God, like what is there? And you start looking. And once you start looking, I think that's when you start finding. And what it is that you have to find is the real you, what you really are. And the real you is not part of this manifestation. Your real you does not move. Your real you is not energy. What we are is that, how do you say it? Like, it's that space. I'm going to say space. It's that space in which the world can exist. It's that underlying consciousness that makes our senses possible, that make this world possible. And that does not move. That is completely still. And because it is completely still, it cannot be perceived. It can't be experienced through the senses or your mind. And that's why I think it is so difficult for people to understand, because you can't understand it. You can't talk about it. You can't see it. You can't hear it. You can't smell it. You can't feel it. You can't... What's missing? There's one missing. Taste it. And you cannot think about it. You can't sort of find it and explain it. That's why I'm talking in circles and everyone else talks in circles. It cannot be perceived. You have to quiet yourself enough so that the mind sort of falls away or goes to sleep, so that you can get to a point where you can remember what you are and just be it. There is no sort of, people say you meditate enough and you become quiet enough and then you experience it. And it is something you have to experience. You can't read about it, you can't learn it. But even that whole experience it implies that there's something there that experiences it. You know, you need sort of a subject to experience an object. And this that I'm trying to point to and that everyone tries to point to is just out of that. It can't be experienced. And yet it is the most real thing that you'll ever be, you'll ever remember. And once you find that space or that truth, once you find that sort of, consciousness, your entire life and everything that can be sensed and perceived and experienced suddenly is lived from such a different level of experience, or like a different, plane, that it's not so serious anymore. Suddenly it's this, you're so removed from it in a way where it's not personal anymore, that you can see it for what it really is, and you're not lost in your little, like, I didn't like this, and oh no, I'm angry with him and her, and she shouldn't have said it like that. And we get so small, we get so sucked down into this lower energy, and we get so caught up in our memories and our feelings and how life should be, and how, we should be treated, and how this isn't fair, and all of that stuff that we can't see anymore. And we wear this thick lens of conditioning, this thick lens of beliefs and shoulds and shouldn'ts, that we don't really see reality anymore. We don't see how life really, truly is. So the more you free yourself from yourself, the more you step out of that tiny little prison that you've built for yourself, the more you relax, the more you see, the more you are able to just experience from this place, this newfound place of awareness, this higher self plane, and things just, become or seem so much lighter, and you can see the truth. For example, you're a person completely absorbed, and now I need a good example. Your husband was meant to do the laundry because you were busy. Not because he also lives in the house and it should be a shared responsibility, but because it's usually your job, but you were busy and he was meant to help you. Cough. And he forgot, he didn't do it. And now you are in this tiny little prison that you've built for yourself. So you're thinking, this is not fair. I always have to do everything. I can't rely on anyone. I hate him. You're just angry. You're just really upset. You go to him full of anger, frustration, and you yell at him. And you're really upset. And he defends. Sorry, just forgot. My God, you're so uptight. Hitler and whatever, And you guys get into this huge argument. If you step back, if you are seated or rooted in your higher consciousness, if you're still sort of human, but further removed, and there is the stillness that you've cultivated in you, then you can look at the situation, and there is no should and shouldn'ts, first of all. So there is no he should, and I deserve, and I can't rely on, and I deserve better, and all of that stuff is just, it does not exist. It doesn't enter your mind. This lower energy just doesn't cut it, It's not important. It's child's play, nearly. So what happens is just you're in the moment, everyday life moment. You notice laundry hasn't been done. You have the calmness, the energy to put the laundry on yourself without the thoughts of, I'm being walked all over, I'm a doormat, no one listens to me, I have to do everything myself. You are just simply doing laundry, like the Buddhists would say, carrying water. everything you do is your meditation, so doing the laundry. Now, with your husband, instead of seeing him as, I can't rely on him, he's so lazy, he's whatever would come up in your mind, you now simply see the truth. You would see him. He would probably recognize, crap, I forgot the laundry. He'd hop up, I'm so sorry, I forgot. And he would tell you why he forgot. And you would have the clarity to allow him to just be human, and to see maybe, well, he's really stressed right now. He has something at work that was distracting him. Or, and I think this is like a very normal sort of reason that happens quite a lot with a lot of humans. Your husband is so unhappy that he was trying to distract himself from himself and his thoughts and his misery by playing video games, watching sports, doing whatever, which to us would look like something lazy behavior. But it is a sort of survival mechanism of, I am so miserable, there's so much pain, I can't stand this existence, and I'm going to distract. I can't sit with myself. And this distraction then, of course, runs away from you and you forget time and whatever. And you could just have compassion for that, because we all go through this, especially if you are unaware. Now, don't forget, you're coming from this newfound place right now of this higher consciousness, of this awareness that you didn't have previously. So you're aware of this now, but you're also aware that maybe your husband isn't there yet. And instead of being mad at him for it, you have compassion for that. You understand, because you have been there as well and you know how it is. It is so important for us to sort of get to that point where we're just like, life cannot be just about this. I'm noticing I cannot sit still with myself. I'm constantly running. I'm constantly trying to distract myself. I'm uncomfortable in my own skin. I'm uncomfortable with who I am, or I don't even know who I am. I don't know what's going on. I am just running around trying to control things, manipulate things so I can be comfortable, so I can be happy. Things happen that I don't like and I cannot deal with it. It's too much for me. And you're just running your whole life, or you're clinging. And you get to this point where you're just like, I can't do this anymore, right? And that's the point where you start growing, and when you discover this spirituality path and you start working on yourself, it's not the type of work that gets you out of this existence as in, my life's going to be perfect. I'm just going to meditate every day and I'm going to be happy forever, Buddhists are the happiest people, and so I'm just gonna do what Buddhists do. I'm gonna meditate all day and move to a cave, or I don't know, and you try and change your life and just to be happy. And the thing is, that is not spirituality. That is clinging to happiness again. But I think maybe even this is part of the whole path. I think I have moved through it, and I think everyone else moves through it. This phase where you discover that there's something else, and now you're hanging on to it for dear life, and you want to be happy. What spirituality actually is removing yourself far enough that you are closer and even more involved in life, from a place of equanimity, of pure just stillness, where things can happen in your life, good or bad, and you're not taken. You don't have to push anymore. You don't have to cling anymore. You're good where you are. Things happen and you just watch them happen. You know it's not you. You know this is part of this whole dance, of this whole incarnation, this life, this universe, this world. It's this whole up and down. It will never stop. It'll keep going. So happiness will come, sadness will come, joy will come, love will come, loss will come, devastation will come. It's all part of it. Your job is to learn to recognize, that's not me. I don't have to react. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit and observe and bring into this world and into my life, to myself and the people around me, this quality of love and stillness that will help myself to not react and get lost in the drama, and to also help those around me to not get lost in the drama. That's ultimately it. That's what you do on the spiritual path. That's what your practice is. And from here, it's just all good, it's all, you loosen so much. You loosen up, and it's not just so serious anymore. It becomes play. It becomes play, this whole life, the good and the bad. It's just like a playground. You loosen up and you soften, your heart softens, you don't react so much, you don't have to defend, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to go through all your fears of, will I be liked, and will I lose this, and death, and all the drama that you've been lost in. And it just becomes child play. You see it from a different space where there is no movement, where all of this is happening in. And it is just, you can't help but just laugh, So you can talk about suffering, and you can see the suffering, and it's just, you have so much compassion for it. It's just not heavy anymore. And that's where you become free. Now you don't have to control anything. Everyone can be who they want to be or who they need to be. They can move through their karma, their life, and it's all good. You don't need anything from anyone. And you can just be this, almost like a vessel for just this unconditional love. And it's this unconditional love that will heal every aspect of you. And it'll start healing the people around you. It will raise the energy of the entire world and just make it a better place. A more peaceful place, a more loving place, where people can heal, where people can also find the space. And I just can't think of anything that's more important than this in life.